Mr. Chairman, Mr. Administrator McCarthy, just thinking about this a little bit, I suspect that this is something like going to a dental appointment or something in terms of coming in here and sitting down. Earlier, you had an opportunity to discuss a little bit, and I sensed the frustration with regard to the Waters of the United States rules and the comments that have been made. Let me just go back, because I just want to correct it, because if not, we're going to end up coming back later on and correcting. The Corps of Engineers, who are basically issuing the request, on February 11th, Assistant Secretary Darcy had told the House Appropriations Committee members that 37% of the comments on the proposed Waters of the United States rule were in favor of the rule, and 58% were opposed, and that others were neutral. On February 26th, you told the House Appropriations Committee members that 87% of the comments were positive, and said that all they, meaning the Corps, had completed was a review of 2% of the comments, and that you weren't sure which 2% they chose, and said that you feel badly that there's confusion. And then you went a little bit farther than that in terms of suggesting that maybe the Corps should review their numbers a little bit. Today you issued a similar suggestion on it. I suspect that although there's been over 1 million comments made, it seems that there's also been a discussion on the fact that there are only about 20,000 of the million that would be considered unique and substantive in terms of comments. It also appears in discussions that these are the comments that the Corps had reviewed. I wanted to just clear up any confusion that what I'm thinking is that when we talk about the substantive comments that have been made, which appear to be about 20,000, and I don't know that there's much disagreement on that. 7,400 were unique and substantive comments that supported the rule out of the 20,000. And that when you were talking about 87% of the comments that were positive, you were talking about the mass campaigns and the duplicative comments that had also been received, in addition to the 20,000 substantive and unique comments that had been there. There were also, in that 20,000, approximately 11,600 of these substantive comments that were in opposition to the rule. Would you think, am I accurate in my assessment?
I don't have that exact figure, sir.
Okay. What I'm trying to do is to clear up that while I think you were using numbers that were different than the Corps of Engineers, the Corps were talking about the substantive comments, and you were looking at the gross number of total comments that have come in overall.
I'd have to refer to the Corps for that. I don't know, sir. I think the point that I'm really trying to make is we have probably done a bit of a disservice saying what is opposed and what isn't opposed. I mean, it's important to know that people find this rule important, obviously to get right. We do as well. Every comment is meaningful to us, and we'll look at all of them. And it's important for us to do what the science and the law says and to explain ourselves. And we'll do the best job we can in the final to have that done.
I do agree with you that this one is critical, and I think this has some very far-reaching impacts in terms of individuals that before may very well not have to have permitting in order to do the same jobs that they were doing before. I think it's so important, as a matter of fact, that when we start talking about Waters of the United States, this is one area that really, this is something that I think this is a major rule. Yeah. And although there may be some discussion or disagreement in terms of the definitions of what a major rule is, I'd like to go into just a little bit. There is, an Executive Order 12866.
Yes.
Directing all federal agencies to assess economic effects of economically significant rules. And I do think this is one of those rules. These are the rules that have a material adverse effect on any sector of the economy, such as productivity, competition, or jobs. An August 2014 GAO study reported that your agency was writing and implementing regulations based on information that considered the effects of regulations on employment for the years 1979 to 1991. This is in 2014. Additionally, the study was limited to 4 industrial sectors. As a result, the regulations the EPA was crafting for the United States were finalized with the assumptions that the United States economy 20 to 30 years ago was the same as it is today, and it involved only 4 industrial sectors. simply not correct today. The Bureau of Labor Statistics breaks down the manufacturing sector alone into approximately 24 industries, and this does not count other sectors such as retail, hospitality, or tourism. Now, I understand that you're no longer using the outdated data when writing the regulations, but you are required under this executive order to consider economic effects whenever you are writing a major rule. The EPA is in the process of finalizing the Clean Power Plant rules and the NOx ozone rules as well, which is predicted to be one of the most expensive regulations in EPA's history. I'm just curious, what economic factors and how updated are they that you're using when you're looking at any one of these 3 rules today? What series, how up to date are your economic numbers?
Yeah.
What guidelines are you using today?
I'm happy to provide you information on this, but EPA, I believe, does a great job in keeping up with the economics that we need to in order to provide the American public a really good understanding of what the costs and benefits are of our rules. And I think we do an excellent job, and there's always work going on, and we try to update as much as we can, but I think we're up to date in what we're doing, and I'd be happy to share that information with you.
Would you provide to the committee the current data that you are using when you did each of these 3 rules, please?
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah, there is something called the regulatory impact analysis
Yes,
that actually goes with these rules, and all of the methods and the methodology and the data will be presented, isn't contained in that.
And I'm almost out of time, Mr. Chairman, but what I'm curious about is what I'm hearing you say, and what we'd like to get is since you're not using the old data, you've updated the data, the most current data that you have to indicate the impact on the economy that these rules, all 3 of these rules, would have.
I'll go back. I'll
Okay.
make sure we provide you that information, Senator.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Senator Rounds. And